Good evening. I'm Major Gerald Bransassy, and on behalf of Chief Thomas Bennett, I'd like to welcome you all for taking the time to share in this opportunity to recognize our 2017 award winners at the Suffolk Police Department and some very special citizens that we have with us tonight. I would like to extend a special welcome and thank you to the family members and guests who have joined us this evening as well. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize some special guests that we have with us today. Our City Mayor, the Honorable Linda Johnson. Vice Mayor Leroy Bennett. Councilman Lou Ward. Our City Manager, Mr. Patrick Roberts. On behalf of our Commonwealth Attorney, Phil Ferguson, Mr. Tom Shire is here with us tonight. And on behalf of our City Treasurer, Mr. Ron Williams, Andrew Owen is here with us tonight. As you're going to hear this evening, the Suffolk Police Department is very fortunate to have more than 250 sworn police, dispatchers, animal control officers, personnel, civilians, and volunteer personnel who work very hard to ensure that our citizens' concerns are addressed and they enjoy a safe and secure community to live and work within. Each of our employees put forth a dedicated efforts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Tonight we're going to recognize some of them who have gone above and beyond. As a preview, I thought I would present some numbers for 2017 for you to consider. Our police officers responded to 39,205 citizen calls for service. Our police officers managed 107,668 self-initiated calls for service. Our animal control officers responded to 4,912 citizen calls for service. Our animal control officers managed 2,268 self-initiated calls for service. There were 8,788 incident reports and 2,461 accident reports completed. Communications personnel managed those 154,053 calls that I mentioned to include all the additional fire and rescue calls. Our civilian support staff managed those 11,249 reports and the thousands upon thousands of additional documents for both staff and citizens. Please stand for the presentation of colors by the Suffolk Police Department Honor Guard and the Pledge of Allegiance, and remain standing for the invocation and blessing by Suffolk Police Captain Al Chandler. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we bow our heads, please? Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come together in the spirit of honor and the spirit of love. Lord, bless this food. Let it be a nourishment to our bodies, and bless us that we may really enjoy this time together of celebration. Amen.
Please be seated. So given the time of day, one of the most important things to do is to eat. So that's what we're going to do first. We'll start by council and command staff table, and then we'll work through the tables are numbered appropriately so everybody's not standing on the line. Please enjoy the fellowship for a little while, and we'll get started shortly. Thank you. All right, so at this time, it's my pleasure and honor to ask our mayor, Miss Linda Johnson, to please come forward and provide remarks regarding this evening. Ma'am?
I'm a little shorter. Good evening, everyone. Has everybody enjoyed their dinner and ready to get the rest of this wonderful evening going? It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you this evening, to be with the finest law enforcement agency in the country. I always say it, and I mean it, and we are. On behalf of the members of Suffolk City Council, I want to thank you all for joining us here this evening. This is always a very, very special time in the year, and it just means a whole lot to all of us just to have you here with us tonight. One needs only to watch the evening news to be reminded that there are especially trying times across this nation, and particularly for those in law enforcement. And it even further emphasizes the fact that to decide to become a police officer is not an easy decision, and it's so commendable. It is noble, it's selfless, it's driven by the desire to serve the community where you live, where you work, and where you play. For those that take that challenge, it's the pursuit of making the community a better place that makes them feel worthwhile and to know that what they do every day has so much meaning. Across our entire city, our streets, our schools, our churches, every part of our lives are owed to the work that you do every single day. You've heard me say it so many times, but none of us could go about our day doing what we do, giving as little thought to safety as we do, because we know you've got us. We know that you're there for us. And so I just want you to know, and I do that. I have to tell you, every single day, I don't get in my car and worry about where I'm going or what I'm doing, because I know that we've got the finest law enforcement anywhere. And I know that you will always be there for us every single day. Our citizens wake up every morning feeling good, knowing that they slept while brave men and women tirelessly ensured their safety. In Suffolk, the relationships that the police department has forged over the years of active work in our community is paying off, because our streets are safer, crime is down, and the quality of life here is better than it's ever been. So this evening, we're going to here to give recognition and thanks to those who use their courage and their compassion to provide such a meaningful service to our city. All of the citizens of Suffolk, young, old, and in between, all of us are dedicated, and I want you to know how much we appreciate every single thing that you do. And it's all of you, sworn officers, civilian employees, volunteers, and engaged citizens. That epitomizes the best of our society. It shows what happens when everybody works together. So I want to share with you the following quote, which I feel suits this occasion perfectly. In life, you'll realize that there's a purpose for everybody you meet. Some are there to test you. Some will use you. Some will teach you. And some will bring out the absolute best in you. That's what our law enforcement family does. They bring out the best. So in closing, we thank you not for just what you do, but for what you are willing to do. And we thank you for everything that you've done and everything that you will continue to do. So God bless you, keep you safe, and let's enjoy this evening as we recognize some very, very special people.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So a couple of quick things before we get to the formal. First and foremost, let me say thank you to Captain John McCarley and his awards committee for putting this entire event, to include the decorations, together to bring us all here tonight to recognize our special employees. Captain McCarley, thank you. And over in the Black Chef, I forget what they call it on TV, sous chef or something like that, but Mr. Andy Montero of Montero's and his wait staff for providing the food and helping us out this evening. Chief Bennett, please come forward, sir.
Award presentations for the first quarter of 2017. Officer James Brooks and Officer Sean Powell. On January 19, 2017, Suffolk Police and Suffolk Fire and Rescue responded earlier in the morning to a single vehicle accident with entrapment in the 500 block of Smith Street in downtown Suffolk. Officer Brooks was the first on scene. At that time, he advised flames were coming from the bottom of the vehicle and coming up to the roof of the vehicle in the same places. Officer Brooks deployed his fire extinguisher. However, it malfunctioned and was ineffective. Officer Brooks immediately began communicating with other officers on scene, so their efforts were more effective. Officer Smith and Officer Powell also arrived to assist soon after Officer Brooks. Officer Smith broke the window of the vehicle on the passenger side using his rescue me tool to provide the driver trapped inside with more ventilation due to the cabin of the vehicle being filled with smoke. Officer Smith then used the extinguisher to extinguish the flames under the vehicle. Once the fire extinguisher was empty, the flames were much smaller under the vehicle. A citizen in the area gave Officer Smith another fire extinguisher from his residence, and Officer Smith completed putting out the flames. Officer Powell made efforts to remove the driver from the vehicle. However, he was unable to due to the driver being trapped with his legs pinned in the car. The driver was then extricated by the Suffolk Fire and Rescue. The situation could have been much worse if not for the efforts of these three officers. The teamwork of these three officers led to the life-saving of this gentleman, the ability to extract the patient without having significant injury. For these reasons, Officer James Brooks and Officer Powell are receiving the life-saving award. Officer Anthony Patton. On January 17, 2017, Officer Rivera initiated a traffic stop on Portsmouth Boulevard on an SUV because the driver was unable to safely maintain their lane. Officer Rivera made contact with the driver and detected a strong odor of marijuana emanating from inside the vehicle and requested an additional unit. Officer Patton arrived to assist. The driver and his passenger were asked to step out of the vehicle so a search could be conducted. Officer Rivera then searched the vehicle and recovered 7 capsules of heroin, marijuana bud, and 2 cell phones, .38 caliber revolver, and $940 in cash. With the knowledge of what was found in the vehicle, Officer Patton noticed the passenger would occasionally nod off, and though the passenger could have ingested some heroin. The passenger was placed in the back of Officer Patton's vehicle for his safety. Officer Patton noticed the passenger became unresponsive. Officer Patton pulled the passenger out of the back seat of his vehicle and placed him on the ground on the side of the road. Officer Patton advised that the passenger had in fact stopped breathing. Officer Patton began CPR. After application of CPR, the passenger quickly started breathing on his own, and officers were able to regain a pulse just prior to the arrival of EMS. The passenger was taken to Overseas Hospital where he made a full recovery. Officer Rivera arrested the driver and charged him with numerous drug-related charges and driving infractions. With great communication and excellent teamwork, Officer Patton was able to rely on his training and save a life in a critical moment. Based on Officer Patton's actions, which awarded him the Life-Saving Award for the first quarter, he continued hard work and dedication throughout the quarter, and he was also recognized as Officer of the Quarter. Awards for the second quarter. Miss Kathy Richards. During the past 2 DUI checkpoints that occurred during March and June of 2017, Ms. Kathy Richards went above and beyond to care for the officers engaged in the DUI checkpoints. Ms. Richards unselfishly donated her time and funds to accompany the officers working the DUI checkpoint well into the late night hours. Ms. Richards provided sandwiches, snacks, and cold beverage to feed the officers working the checkpoints. Ms. Richards has done this function many times before and has never once asked for any payment or any funding for the food supplies. Ms. Richards' efforts uplifted the morale of the officers working the DUI checkpoints by keeping them well nourished to perform their duties. The Suffolk Police Department thanks Ms. Richards for her generosity and dedication to service. Sergeant Cheryl Balzer, Officer Josie Hall. On May 24, 2017, officers responded to the neighborhood of Kilby Shores in reference to a complaint of 4 to 5 males pulling on vehicle door handles. Officer Bradshaw and Officer Wells, Holman, Price initially responded to the area. The officers began canvassing the neighborhood for the suspects. Other officers arriving on scene included Officer Boyette, Sergeant Balzer, and Lieutenant Lopez. The perimeter was established by the officers and forced the suspects to flee the area on foot. Officers were advised that the vehicle was stolen from Virginia Beach, and Officer Hall arrived to process the scene. Officer Hall was able to collect latent prints and marijuana from the vehicle. Master Police Officer Wild and K-9 Chamba then responded to the call out for tracking and a search in the area. K-9 Chamba immediately began tracking towards the apartment complex. While positioned at the Supreme gas station, Detective Johnson observed 2 males running from the wooded area behind the apartment complex and headed towards Holland Road. Detective Johnson pursued one of the suspects on foot and determined the juvenile male while advising dispatch a second suspect had fled across Holland Road. MPO Wild, K-9 Chamba, and Officer Bradshaw continued to track towards Route 58. Sergeant Balzer and Lieutenant Harrison arrived on scene with Detective Johnson to assist with the detention of 1 juvenile. While they were being briefed on the situation, they observed a second suspect run back across Holland Road. They chased the suspect on foot, and MPO Wild and K-9 Chamba and Officer Bradshaw arrived to assist them. The suspect was detained near the residence located near the Supreme gas station. While walking back to their vehicles, MPO Wild and K-9 Chamba had began another track. This track subsequently led the officers into a creek with dense foliage and brambles. Officer Hall, MPO Wild, and Sergeant Balzer risked their own safety to capture 3 additional suspects. Each officer involved in the incident was instrumental in capturing 5 suspects responsible for larcenies from several vehicles in the Kilby Shores neighborhood. All 5 juveniles had previous criminal histories and possible connections with gang activity. The team efforts proved to be effective during the call-out service. For this reason, these officers are receiving the departmental commendation for 2017. Sergeant Gary Myrick. On May 12, 2017, Detective Lydia Thompson was tasked with investigating 2 robberies to convenience stores located at 819 West Washington, the Circle K, and 2109 Main Street, 7-Eleven. Detective Thompson reviewed the video from the 7-Eleven robbery and created still photos. She disseminated the photographs to the department. Sergeant Myrick was able to develop a person of interest in the robberies after speaking to a detective from the Franklin Police Department. On May 13, 2017, Sergeant Myrick was off duty at the dollar store on Holland Road when he recognized one of the suspects from the 7-Eleven video. The subject was wearing the same clothes that he had on in the video. Sergeant Myrick then observed the subject get into a 4-door Mazda with North Carolina registration and a heavy body damage, including a missing rear bumper and passenger front turn signal. The vehicle had 1 passenger who was later identified. Later that evening, Sergeant Myrick observed the same vehicle traveling eastbound on Route 58 and initiated a traffic stop for defective equipment. Sergeant Myrick was able to identify all the occupants of the vehicle, and 1 passenger was a suspect in 2 robberies in the city of Franklin. All of the occupants were detained and transported to police headquarters to be interviewed. Detective Thompson responded and began interviewing the subjects along with Franklin detective. After several hours of interrogation, one of the subjects confessed to being one of the leaders of a group committing the robberies in both cities. Follow-up interviews were conducted with each of the 3 subjects, who all eventually confessed to their involvement in armed robberies in the city of Suffolk and Franklin. As a result of this investigation, a total of 14 felony charges were obtained for crimes which occurred in the city of Suffolk. For this reason, Sergeant Myrick is receiving departmental commendation.
Third quarter awards. Acting Sergeant Joe Rivera. On August 15, 2017, officers were dispatched to a call regarding a suicidal subject with a gun inside of his residence. Further information indicated that the subject was a former Marine and he was in possession of a firearm. Acting Sergeant Rivera began to speak with the subject as a CIT officer and used his experience as a Marine to establish a rapport with him. Acting Sergeant Rivera bravely entered the bedroom and continued to de-escalate the incident. Acting Sergeant Rivera remained calm during this tense situation and ensured that the incident ended favorably for all parties involved. Acting Sergeant Rivera's actions directly led to the preservation of a young man's life, and he was provided the help that he desperately needed. For his involvement in this incident, he was awarded a department commendation. Officer J. Parker. On July 25, 2017, Sergeant Fairman responded to a subject that was also feeling suicidal. Sergeant Fairman was able to calm the subject down, but he refused to come downstairs to continue to speak with him. Officer Parker arrived on scene and was able to convince the subject to come downstairs and continue to speak with the officers. Officer Parker was able to convince the subject to get further assistance. Officers later found a loaded handgun and a box cutter with the blade extended where the subject had previously been. Due to Sergeant Fairman and Officer Parker's diligent work, they prevented this individual from harming himself. For her actions, Officer Parker was awarded a department commendation. Officer Z. Hyman. Officer Hyman and Officer Stabinsky responded to a cardiac arrest on August 2, 2017. Upon arrival, the officers located an 86-year-old male lying on the floor of the residence. The male was not breathing and did not have a pulse. The officers started CPR on the male for 2 to 3 minutes until EMS arrived on scene. Suffolk Fire and Rescue personnel advised that if it was not for Officer Stabinsky and Officer Hyman's efforts, the male may not have survived. For his actions, Officer Hyman is awarded the Life-Saving Award. Officer J. Hall and Mr. Gilbert Fitzwater. On July 23, 2017, Suffolk Police received a call for service in reference to an elderly woman living at her residence with no air conditioning. Officers arrived and determined that the AC unit was broken and that it was 91 degrees inside of her home. Instead of referring the citizen to a maintenance person, the officers took it upon themselves to purchase items from Walmart to cool off the residence. The resident was thankful for our efforts and advised that she would be able to sleep through the night. On July 24, 2017, Mr. Gilbert Fitzwater saw the department's Facebook post in reference to the officers' actions and wanted to help even more. Mr. Fitzwater was able to repair the air conditioning unit for the resident at no charge. He stated that when he saw the posting, he knew he had to do something to help. We want to thank Mr. Fitzwater for his kind actions and dedication to his fellow citizens. For his actions, Mr. Fitzwater is awarded a Citizens Award from the Suffolk Police Department. Officer Josie Hall is awarded a department commendation, and for her actions, she was selected as Officer of the Third Quarter. Fourth Quarter, Mr. Joseph Walker. During the 2017 Suffolk Youth Public Safety Academy session, Mr. Joseph Walker assisted with the program Meals. He recognized that this program was aimed at guiding the youth of the community in the right direction. At the time, Mr. Walker was employed as a manager at the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel, located at 100 East Constance Road in the city of Suffolk. Mr. Walker saw the importance of the program and wanted to do something to help the kids. He and his staff members offered not only to feed the students of the program, but all of the mentors, the Marine Patrol, and firefighters participating in the scheduled outdoor activities with the students. All of the participants were served a formal 3-course dinner in a formal setting on April 20th, 2017 and May 9th, 2017, where the program students were taught proper table etiquette as part of the program. Mr. Walker provided staff members to serve the meals and refill beverages. The meals are normally considered costly for each plate, but Mr. Walker provided the meals for free so that the program funds could be used for other meals and activities. Mr. Walker also took the time to talk with the program participants, explaining the importance for them to stay on the right track in life. It's not every day when someone in Mr. Walker's position takes time out to focus on the youth of our community. Mr. Walker wanted to give something back to the community. For his actions and dedication, Mr. Walker is receiving a Citizens Award. Mr. Michael O'Neill. On December 24, 2010, at Triple T Gymnastics, the owner called to advise that he saw two subjects inside of his business without permission. Officers arrived on scene and observed the rear door partially open with a safe lying on the ground. They then observed two subjects running out of the building and headed toward the Kingsborough neighborhood. Sergeant Beers arrived on scene and made contact with the witnesses, Michael and Wanda O'Neill, on Highland Avenue. Mr. O'Neill advised he was traveling on East Pinner when he and his wife observed the two subjects fleeing from the police. Mr. O'Neill attempted to grab one of the subjects by his book bag, but the subject broke free. Mr. O'Neill approached Sergeant Beers with the book bag he pulled off of the subject. As Sergeant Beers was obtaining information, they observed the subject run behind a residence on Highland Avenue. Sergeant Beers, with the assistance of Mr. O'Neill, located the subject hiding inside a trash can in the backyard of a residence. With the help of Mr. O'Neill, officers were able to apprehend both subjects and appropriate charges were sought on the individuals. For his actions on that incident, Mr. O'Neill is awarded a Citizen's Award. Police Records Technician Cynthia Meyer. PRT Meyer has been transcribing internal affairs interviews for the Professional Standards Division during 2016 and 2017. In 2016, she transcribed 79 total IA interviews. In 2017, her transcriptions increased to 93. The demand on her has increased for IA interview transcriptions. PRT Meyer has managed to transcribe the interviews in a very efficient and effective manner. PRT Meyer was the only transcriptionist for the department from the end of July until the beginning of September 2017. She is an asset to the Suffolk Police Department, and she is truly committed to making the Suffolk Police Department the best police department due to her high level of commitment and accuracy while performing her duties. For her actions, she is being awarded a department commendation. Auxiliary Officer Keith Richards. For the year 2017, Auxiliary Richards has consistently demonstrated a strong commitment not only to the Suffolk Police Department, but to the City of Suffolk and the citizens he serves. Auxiliary Richards was only required to work the minimum of 192 hours for the year, but he exceeded the required hours and worked 293. He worked more hours than any of the other auxiliary officers. He has also provided building security for Precinct 2 while the regional crime line members held their routine meetings. Auxiliary Richards assisted the DUI Task Force unit enforcing DUI violations during the late evening and early morning shifts. He also accomplished all of the above while attending all of his required in-service classes. Auxiliary Richards, like other auxiliary officers, does not receive any financial compensation for his time. His dedication to duty is purely from the heart and his passion to do the job. For this reason, Auxiliary Officer Keith Richards is awarded a department commendation. Auxiliary Sergeant Donald Thompson. Auxiliary Sergeant Thompson has been with the Suffolk Police Department for over 30 years. He has spent most of the years as an auxiliary sergeant for 21. Auxiliary Sergeant Thompson, with his unwavering dedication to the department and the community, has always been unmatched. Throughout the years, he has assisted with numerous parades, special events, National Night Out, and weather-related natural disasters. Auxiliary Sergeant Thompson has always made himself available to assist the department. Any officer in the auxiliary police program works without any financial compensation, and for over 30 years he has done so. Sergeant Thompson took on extra administrative responsibilities, such as conducting formal line inspections, coordinating monthly meetings and formal in-service trainings, maintaining personnel files, and writing employee evaluations. Despite heavy volunteer responsibilities, Auxiliary Sergeant Thompson manages to maintain an upbeat personality and a self-motivated spirit. Even when he was undergoing a medical procedure, which left him on light duty, he still managed to address various administrative responsibilities with an emphasis on returning to full duty as quickly as possible. For these reasons, Auxiliary Sergeant Thompson has been awarded a department commendation. Officer Brian Hearn. On October 24, 2017, Officer Hearn responded to a traffic fatality. Officer Hearn immediately took charge of the incident and directed the assisting officers to establish a crime scene. The scene quickly became volatile due to the involvement of an understandably distraught family member who was unable to control himself on scene. Officer Hearn's quick actions to secure both the crime scene and other officers demonstrated great credit upon himself, the police department, and the city of Suffolk. For his actions, Officer Hearn is awarded a department commendation. Officer Josie Hall. On November 30th, 2017, Officer Hall, Officer Diaz, and Officer Tello responded to a call. They secured warrants and attempted to apprehend the offender at his residence. While on scene, officers detected a strong odor of marijuana coming from inside the home. Upon further review, the victim advised that the offender had several marijuana plants within the residence. The officers secured warrants for the original offense, as well as a search warrant. Officer Tello apprehended the suspect as he attempted to leave the scene. Ultimately, 10 marijuana plants and 3.1 pounds of marijuana were seized from the residence, along with a vehicle, currency, property, and bank accounts. The offender was charged with manufacturing marijuana and his associated original warrants. For her actions, Officer Hall is awarded a department commendation. Officer Jennifer Parker. On November 27, 2017, Officer Parker responded to a call regarding an attempted suicide. A caller advised that a subject was in a vehicle with a hose coming from the tailpipe into the vehicle with a car running. Officer Parker arrived and made contact with a single occupant of the vehicle. She was able to develop a rapport with him. She talked with him for approximately 30 minutes and finally got him to exit the vehicle. Because of Officer Parker's persistence and determination to de-escalate the incident, the gentleman is alive and he received the appropriate treatment. For her actions, Officer Parker is awarded a department commendation. Sergeant Gary Myrick. Detective Sergeant Gary Myrick always provides excellence to his detectives, showing them how to do their jobs effectively and efficiently by modeling the steps to a complete and accurate investigation. Sergeant Myrick has also been instrumental in providing department training in the area of leads online and is considered to be a subject matter expert on the operation of this asset to our department. Sergeant Myrick's supervisors consider him to be an excellent supervisor who allows his detectives to develop their own perspectives and guides them when needed. In recognition of his hard work, dedication, and his commitment to the Suffolk Police Department, Sergeant Myrick is awarded a department commendation. Officer Clifton Sessoms. Officer Sessoms' work ethic has been nothing short of outstanding this year. Officer Sessoms is currently assigned to the DUI Task Force Unit. Officer Sessoms completed and recertified as one of only 3 drug recognition experts in the entire Hampton Roads area. Officer Sessoms was honored by the Mothers Against Drunk Driving organization as the officer with the most DUI arrests from the city of Suffolk during 2016. Officer Sessoms was the officer with the 3rd highest arrests in the Hampton Roads area. During the year of 2017, Officer Sessoms conducted 196 standard field sobriety tests, resulting in 70 DUI arrests, 61 open container of alcohol violations, 33 refusal violations, and 4 underage drinking violations. Officer Sessoms assisted street patrol officers with 14 DUIs and provided 25 drug recognition evaluations to assist other officers in DUID arrests. Officer Sessoms is also well-versed in other traffic and criminal enforcement initiatives within the city. His proactive enforcement resulted in summonses for 696 speeding violations, 76 reckless driving violations, 35 seatbelt violations, 72 fail to obey highway sign violations, 33 vehicle inspection violations, 39 drive without license violations, 74 driving while revoked license violations, 3 no vehicle insurance violations, 1 child safety seat violation, 31 vehicle registration violations, 23 equipment violations, and 60 miscellaneous more. His efforts also resulted in 15 felony arrests, 38 misdemeanor drug arrests, 27 weapons arrests, and 20 warrant arrests. Based on the criteria mentioned above, Officer Sessoms was issued a department commendation and was selected as Officer of the 4th Quarter for 2017.
Before we recognize the of the year awardees, I would like to take this time to pay special recognition to a couple of individual supporters of the Suffolk Police Department. Ms. Kathy Birdsong. Ms. Birdsong became a volunteer with the Suffolk Police Department in December 2015 and was assigned to help the Central Records Division. Ms. Birdsong has committed 210 total hours of volunteer work for the year 2017. She has selflessly devoted her time on many tasks such as maintaining parking ticket payments, scanning files and documents, and many other clerical duties, and is always asking and willing to help. She loves to stay constantly busy. We would like to recognize her for her selflessness, commitment to volunteer to the Suffolk Police Department. Mr. Bob Crocker. Over the past 8 years, Volvo Penta has been an outstanding community partner for the Suffolk Police Department's Marine Patrol Program. Volvo Penta allows us to dock our safe boat at their facility in Eclipse, where we can quickly and easily respond to marine emergencies during the height of the boating season. Without the partnership, we would be delayed in responding where lives count. Tonight, we would like to recognize Volvo Penta and Mr. Bob Crocker for their contributions to our department. And now for the 2017 of the Year Awards. Joel Howard. Joel Howard is assigned to the Administrative Analyst for the Suffolk Police Department. Mr. Howard has a tremendous amount of responsibilities within the department. Not only does Mr. Howard focus on his primary duties pertaining to the Administrative Analyst position, but he coordinates all of the grants that the department receives, works on special projects and new initiatives such as DUI Task Force, the department's vision plan, and even helps coordinate the yearly police versus fire football games. The resources brought to the police department as a result of Mr. Howard's work and grants is second to none. Mr. Howard has used his innovative thinking to apply and receive the 21st Century Policing Grant for 2017 and the next calendar year, 2018. He modified this grant to fit the guidelines of 21st Century Policing by obtaining the grant for recruiting a diverse police department to represent the population that the Suffolk Police Department polices for. The grant allowed us to recruit at historically black colleges, female colleges, and universities. In 2017, the recruitment team attended 24 recruiting events as far away as Washington, D.C. and Fort Bragg, with the assistance of the funds from the grant. Due to Mr. Howard obtaining and running this grant, there was a huge increase of recruiting events attended. Administrative Analysis Howard is an asset to the Suffolk Police Department, and he is truly committed to making the Suffolk Police Department the best police department due to his high level of attention to detail, dedication, and professionalism while performing his duties. Mr. Howard is chosen as the Civilian Employee of the Year due to his consistent work ethic and invaluable dedication to the department throughout the year.
I got a couple of things I want to say about Joel real quick. One of them we zipped right over. I'll save that for last. I've been here 8.5 years now. He's done our grants the entire time I've been here. And we have obtained millions, plural, dollars worth of grants under Joel's tutelage. He has done a great job on grants. One grant, $750,000 for our mobile command bus. Just one grant. So millions of dollars of free money that we have gotten, some highly technical equipment, and it's due to this guy right here. Second thing that the captain zipped right over that's also almost as important as free money. Joel has been the head coach of our flag football team that we have. And every year for the last 6 years, we have played the fire department in a fundraiser. And we have beat the fire department every year for 6 years due to his
Communication Operator 3, Jody Holloman. Communication Operator Jody Holloman is an asset to our Emergency Communications Center and department as a whole. She has consistently proven herself to be a dedicated employee since she was hired in 2008. Along with the required certifications for a position, she has earned additional certification and has attended numerous training sessions to enhance her knowledge and skills. Jody is a member for the Crisis Intervention Team and a certified communications training officer. She has trained new members as they have come on board, passing on the knowledge that she has gained through her own training experience, while encouraging them along the way. She has also received training with our reverse 911 system, ComL, VDOT traffic incident management, mental health first aid, to name a few. She has acted as a duty supervisor on numerous occasions. In February 2017, Jody was given a special assignment where she was tasked to focus her time on the Commission of Accreditation for Law Enforcement to aid in our center to becoming the CALIA accredited. She took on an assignment without hesitation and with enthusiasm to get the job done. She continues to work on this daily and still helps out in the center when needed for staffing. Jody made a significant step in her career when she was promoted to Communications Operator 3 on August 2017. She's always been an excellent ambassador for our agency. She puts a lot of hard work into what she continuously does, again, proving herself to be an asset for the center, the department, and the city. For these reasons, Jody Holloman is chosen as Dispatcher of the Year. Sergeant Andre Sparks. Sergeant Andre Sparks is assigned to the Special Operations Unit. During his assignment, he directly managed the School Resource Officers Marine Patrol Unit for the entire year, up until spring of 2017. Sergeant Sparks managed the Motorcycle Unit and Parking Enforcement Unit. While managing 7 SROs, he implemented specific goals and objectives for the SROs to uphold and support the Suffolk Police Department and Suffolk Public Schools. He challenged each SRO to implement at least one school safety program within all middle and high schools. Additionally, each SRO was challenged to identify at least 2 to 3 at-risk students to mentor throughout the school year for them to follow a positive course in life. Sergeant Sparks required each SRO to encourage students to sign up for the Suffolk Youth Public Safety Academy. Sergeant Sparks challenged each SRO to interface the Crime Stoppers program, has been an advocate in each middle school and high school. He further supports the Crime Stoppers program by coordinating, sponsoring, and participating in various basketball games to build relations with the students and police officers. The program proved to be a success with no major school incidents occurring during the year. Sergeant Sparks also ensured that each SRO conducted a school safety orientation with the school staff and teachers via workshops. Sergeant Sparks continues to maintain open communication with outside sources by conducting quarterly meetings with Assistant Superintendent, school principals, and vice principals during the school year. He continues his outreach with the school by maintaining his membership with the Suffolk Wellness Coalition and Suffolk Public Schools Transportation Advisory Board. Sergeant Sparks is also a key mentor for the 2017 Suffolk Youth Public Safety Academy. He has always displayed a strong connection with the students in his previous and most recent academies. For the first time in 2017, Academy graduated all 18 students. Sergeant Sparks' leadership and guidance was instrumental in this accomplishment of graduating a full class. For the above reasons, Sergeant Sparks is nominated and won the Supervisor of the Year for 2017. And for our final award tonight, based on Officer of the Quarter performance and continued effort as a DUI Task Force Officer, Senior Police Officer Clifton Sessom is the 2017 Officer of the Year.
Looking at the cake table, there's a couple pieces left. Maybe even some food. You guys don't have to leave, but we are officially completed with tonight's award ceremony. I want to again thank everyone for attending tonight's ceremony and providing your continued support to the Suffolk Police Department and its staff members. At this time, I'd ask Suffolk Police Chaplain James Pipkin to provide us with our benediction.
As we close, join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this night. What a glorious time it was to see these men and women who have worked so hard, given so much, committed themselves to excellence for the city of Suffolk. We thank you for their dedication and for the sacrifice. And Lord, we thank you for each and every one of the officers and family members that are here for their service and dedication. And we ask that you watch over them and keep them, for it's in your name we pray. Amen.